I'm hoping that by next week we'll be able to complete it because we should be getting around doing charts and building a dashboard by the end of next week, hopefully. Hopefully we'll be getting closer to that. So yeah, so let me just okay, I said 2 minutes, so 1 more minute. Okay, I think we can just start off now. So I'm going to share my screen. I think it was Yemi that was asking a question yesterday about using the reference, whatever here. And I was trying to explain that we don't really need to use reference. We don't need to make it an absolute reference here because we are not moving to the side or up and down. We only want our answer in a single box. So you only want our answer in a single box. So I mean adding an absolute reference might really not be needed. So our index match in to this country. Exact match. Then for the column, match year and month. Incorporate. Yeah, yeah. So we don't need to make this an absolute reference because we are not moving up or down, side or where you need to use those mixed reference is based on what you want. So let me just quickly explain. So for example, this is P3 now, and then this is the other one. So you use the first one, Patrick, here, you're raising your hand. Can you unmute your mic and ask your question, please?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. First, I want to apologize for joining a little bit late. I was waiting for the call. I didn't actually know that the class had started. I'm having issues with this particular advanced index match. I tried it on my own, but it's giving me an error.
Okay. So let's I'm going to redo it now. So equals to index. The possible problem is your array. Your array has to be the data, that is the data within just this data box. Then match
Yeah,
match. We are looking at the country, which is there. So we are looking at here. You select from this pane down. Then the match should be exact match, like the zero, exact match. And then for the column, another match, we are looking at the year and the months, two things, year and the months, comma, look up array, this one first, the year first, and then the months second, and then exact match. You get your answer. So there's a
Okay.
possibility that where you are getting it wrong is the array, which is supposed to be this text from here, from C10.
Okay. I think I was
Yeah.
looking at I see. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
All
yeah.
right.
So just try it and let me know. So I was trying to explain where you need to use this or the other one. So these are the misreference. We have B$B3 or B$3. So for the first one, this is how the first one works. The first one means that regardless of what happens, it is not going to shift from column B. Your your other whatever can be shaking up and down. Like when you are moving up and down, it's going to keep moving up and down. But if you move to the side, it will still retain to stay on column B. That is, you have locked up this column B. So it's going to say static on column B, but you can move up and down. So this is useful where you want to make sure that when you drag the question, when you drag the formulas down, you would have a new repetition, like it will keep coming down. And when you drag it to the side, it will still maintain that column, but you can still drag down and up. That is what this one is useful for. For this one, what you are saying is you have locked up the row 3 and free up column 5, column B. So that means that if you drag to the side, it will drag, like it will change from B to C to D to whatever. But if you move up and down, it will retain this row 3. So it will retain this row 3. So this is useful in cases where you need to move from column to column, but you want it to stay static on the actual row you are using. So that is what this referencing, this mixed reference, that is what it's all about. So today we are going to be um, taking care of pivot table. We're going to be going ahead and be going to pivot table. So I'm going to be using which data should I use now? I'm trying to see. Okay, I think there was one data I sent. Um, okay, let's make use of this Adidas data. Let's make use of this Adidas data. So this is an Adidas US sales data, and now we want to make use of pivot table. So the way pivot table works is that pivot table works like a summary of all of this. For example, we have this sheet, and this data sheet is close to 10,000. This is 9,000 plus of data, 9,649 plus cell of data. So let's say you want to, say for example now, you want to analyze this data now. It might not be enough for you to just use ordinary formula to analyze this data. So there is a pivot table. What pivot table does is that it makes it easier to do a summary of all of this data. So what it means is with pivot table, I can easily do sum of, average, counts, some ifs, even in some cases. So the way pivot table works is that the first thing is you are going to select all of this cell, like all of this table, all of this cell. All the range of your table. Shift control down, shift control side. to pick up all the data. And then you are now going to come to this insert, and then you see insert pivot table. So you select pivot table, and then it's going to tell you this range, and then it's going to say new worksheets. That is, you want to create the pivot table on new worksheets. Then you press OK. So what this does is that now we have our pivot table here, and then we can now input our data. So the way pivot table works is that it segments all the table here, and then we have filter, column, rows, and values. So it is works like a drag and drop, where you can just drop certain things, like drag certain things. For example, now let's drag the city. Let's drag the city to the row. So now we have all the cities labeled here. We have all the cities labeled here. And then we want say total sales. We drag total sales to the value. So this is the total sum of sales per each city. Made easy. So instead of struggling with it the way we most likely have struggled with it normally, with our pivot table, it is easier for us to get the summary. Now we can see, okay, for each of these states, this is this total sum, and then this is the grand sum of everything just by using this pivot table option. So let's say we want to check more. Let's say we want to put each region. So you can see it has now put each one, like each of this is the total sum for each region. This is the total sum for each region. And it has gone because so this is the total sum for each region. Because we have city, it has subgrouped everything in each city. So these are the states in Midwest. These are the states in Midwest. So, but this is the total sum for states in Midwest. For everything under Midwest. So you can close it. If you go to Northeast, you can see for all the states in Northeast. You can see for South, you can see for Southeast, you can see for West, and you can also see the grand total. So what pivot table does is that it makes it very easy for you to find out the summary. So in this case, this is the sum that we are looking at. So let's say what we want to check is not the sum. So you can come to this value, and then there is a few settings. You can see this is sum, this is count, this is average, this is max, this is mean, this is product, count number, standard deviation population, variance population. So let's say, for example, what we want to use here is the average. We want to find the average. So we're just going to select average. So this is the average sales per each region. This is the average sales per each region. And if you increase it, this is the average sales per each state in this region. Did we get this understanding? Did we get this explanation?
Yes.
Okay. I think this should even be very, very easy because the way it works is it's just a summary. So now let's say you want to, so if you want to remove it, you can easily just drag this out and drag this out. Let's say we want to find for products, we want our rows to be products. So these are the products and these are their average. We can remove this if we don't want average. Let's say I want to know the units sold. This is the sum of the units sold for each of these items. The units sold for each of these items. Let's say I want to know, so I want to put sales method as a column. That is for this one, in store, then online, then outlets. So let's say I put the total sales now, for example. So with this, I'm able to see for men apparel, this is the this is the grand total for men apparel generally. This is the grand total for men's footwear. This is the grand total for men's street footwear. This is the grand total for women apparel. This is the grand total for women athletic footwear. This is the grand total for women's street footwear. But if it is in store, for each one that is sold in store, this is the grand total. For each one that is sold online, this is the grand total. For the outlets, this is the grand total. For this, so all of it, the grand total of everything is this. So what pivot table does is that it makes it very, very easy. It makes it very, very easy for you to like have a summary of your data. So let's say, for example, you want to filter this by city or by region, for example. So I want to filter this by region now, for example. If I already have this filter at this top, so select multiple item. So let's say I only want to see what is the one for south, for example. It's only south I want to see. So if I press OK, it has filtered it out, and this is the result of each and every one of these for South region. Did you get this? Did you get this, please? Did you get this, please?
Yeah, well understood.
Okay. So let me remove the filter. So okay. Hmm. So yeah, let me see what else we can do from this data. A city price per unit, operating cost. Hmm. Okay, let's say retailer now, for example. Um, you can decide to probably put this in column. It's not necessarily so. Maybe you want to put it in column instead, and you want to know the total price of each of these. So Amazon is this, Footlock is this, Call is this, and all of this. So let's say we want to see it for the regions. For each of these regions, select all. So for each of this region, this is a Midwest. This is the amount of Amazon that was sold. For Footlock, this is the amount. For calls, this is the amount. So this makes it easier instead of doing some ifs, all the some ifs that we were doing before. We can always neglect that and just use this, like use pivot table to do this and to get our results. So did we understand this to this level, please?
Yeah.
Did you understand to this level? Okay, let me see. I can see your hands up. Please ask your question.
Okay. My question is for this pivot table, I think
Yeah,
for anything that has to do with values, maybe numbers or so, we have
yeah.
to put it in this value, right? While
Yes, you
for
put
the
it at this
rows,
value.
filter, and region, that's
Yeah,
subject to what you
normal.
want your
Yeah,
pivot to
yeah.
look
What you
like,
want to
right?
check. Yes, yes, yes.
But for the values, you have to put it in the values to
Values will
get
always be in the
the
values. Yes,
this thing.
yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
You just have to drag it to the value area. So what I'm looking at is units sold now or price per unit. We drag it to the values. If you drag, say, city to the value now, you won't you what you will get is count of city. It's counting the city that is under Amazon that is Midwest. It cannot add up because it's a text. So it's going to turn it to a count instead. But for numbers, so this is numbers. So let me just remove region. Okay, so this is the sum, total sum for this region. So now we are going to be moving away from pivot table. I think pivot table is a little bit like very, very easy. And then the next thing is now creating charts, like charts with creating charts generally, creating charts. So we have different type of charts. We have the line charts, we have the bar charts, we have the horizontal bar charts, we have the stack bar, we have the pie chart, we have the tree map, we have what else? There's donut charts. Donut charts is just like oh, no, donut charts. Donut charts is just like pie charts. Which else? We have a whole lot of we have a whole lot, like a whole lot of charts, but I think these are the ones I can remember now. Okay, area charts, and some of them are being used um in different ways. For example, line charts is very, very good if you are doing something around time series. By time series, it means you are trying to chart something that has to do with time, that is dates. So you want to check the sales across different days. It is best to use a line chart, like it explains and shows it very, very well. For your bar chart is used when you just want to see the numbers against a particular product or against a particular column, for example. Say, for example, if you want to see the sum of each of these category now, a bar chart would be much more useful. We're going to see all of this anyways. Horizontal bar chart is just like a bar chart, but it is useful where you have your bar chart and then the what you want to show in your bar chart, there are a whole lot. Maybe there are more than 10, for example. Sometimes it's very, very good to just represent it as an horizontal bar chart for clarity's sake. I'm going to drop a book for us to read. That book explains some of the what's it now? It's actually a very, very large book, so it's not something you exhaust at the time, but it explains the um it gives an explanation to designing a chart or creating a visual, like when it comes to charts and visualization, creating visuals that really matters because the core reason why you are trying to do a chart or creating a chart, for example, is so that your audience would easily be able to pick out an answer from your chart. For example, now, if you are in a committee or you want to give this to your clients, it will be very hard for them to understand what all of this is. But the moment you break it into charts, maybe line charts or bar charts or whatever it is, it will be easier for them to understand and know or be able to read out what the term, whatever is in that chart is. It will be easier for them to, I'm coming, I want to check out, okay, to resend a particular chart. For example, now, it will be easier to understand all of this particular chart is actually from that chart, the whole chart that we have. It is easier to understand this and read this compared to when it is in this format. So that is what chat is about. So the book I'm sending would teach us or will help us understand how to use color, because some charts you see some charts and then you see the person combine yellow with red with blue, which sometimes also affects the psychology of the person that is reading. So you also have to consider that, okay, I'm giving this to an audience and the person might probably be colorblind or something. And me modeling up or adding up different color might really not be okay. But the core thing in all of that, I think it's what we can just read in that book and understand. So let's get back to charts now. So so we have pie charts. Yes, another thing is you see some people represent 50 things in a pie chart. No, pie chart should not represent more than um 5. I think at most 5 is okay. Anything more than 5 is already outrageous. So your pie chart should only represent data that is probably no more than 5, and you just want to show the percentage that each person has taken up across across the chart. So let's start with one of the charts. So for this now, we are going to select Midwest, Northeast, South. We are going to select this data that is just this region and some. Then we are going to come here on Excel. If you see, you can see recommend chart. It will recommend the type of chart that you can use and recommend it for you. Then, okay, so this is column chart. Column chart is also the bar chart I was talking about. This is column chart. This is horizontal bar chart that I was talking about the other time. So we are just going to select this column chart and just press OK. So this column chart, from this column chart now, for example, we can easily see that the West region has the highest total sales. From this column back, we can see it like it is already visible. Like the West region has the highest total sales, while from this chart, we can also see that the lowest sales is probably between Midwest and South. So we check, this is 135, this is 144. So it means Midwest is the lowest, the second lowest tax is the second lowest tax. So we can do few cleanups from this. So this is total. We can write, maybe change the lettering of this as total, so total sales per region. So total sales per region. And then we are able to see all of this. Like it makes it much more easy for us to visualize and see what the details is. Did we get it up to this point, please? I'm not getting our response. Did you understand it up to this point?
Yes, I'm getting it.
It's only one person that is responding.
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, good. So if it is an horizontal bar chart, we select the same region, insert, and you can just come here, an horizontal bar chart, and then you have the results. The difference between the normal bar chart and an horizontal bar chart is that horizontal bar charts shows the details horizontally. That is, you have this represented horizontally. But the problem will be these numbers now, the way they are lettered means that, so we can delete it. What that means by deleting it, we have to implement a data label, but I'm just going to leave that right now. Let's just stick to this. So from this, it makes it easier for us to read our charts like both ways. So that is bar charts and horizontal charts. Let's see another chart we can do. And start. Yeah, we can make use of a pie chart, for example, but a pie chart sometimes can be very, very deceiving. So if the numbers are close enough to, it is advisable not to use a pie chart. The reason is because, so if I select this pie chart now, from looking at this, you would think all of it are they are equal because it is very, very hard to differentiate which is the largest and which is the smallest. So in cases where you have something like this, it is advisable not to use a pie chart. Like it's advisable not to use a pie chart at all. So there is pie chart, there is also do not chart. Do not chart just puts a circle just to make it much more readable in between your charts. So yeah, I want to talk about something. There is something called a slicer. So what the work of a slicer is just like filter. The other time we had filters. The other time we were making use of filter. There's also something called slicer. So this is how slicer works. This slicer is at the insert option. You select a slicer. The slicer is a filter. So if you want to filter based on this city now, for example, and press OK, it's going to create a filter of all of the cities. So that if I select anyone, so you can see this is selecting the data for Albany. Albany is in Northeast. That's filter it out to Albany. So if I select another one, this is for this state, this is for this state, this is for this state, like that. Like I now decide to add one or more by probably using the shift button and the likes to add more. But I'm just trying to show us how filter works. So this is how slicer works. So this is slicer and insert it from this insert option. Okay, so let me see. Let me see another chart. Okay, another chart is tree map. The tree map is for showing hierarchy. For example, let me select another data instead of regional. Let's do products now. And then values. The values of this thing are closely matched. So it can be hard to okay, let's use this. So this is the sum. Then we can decide to use tree map. In some cases, some of the data you have in your pivot table might not work in some cases that you have to copy it out and paste for you to be able to use some charts. It happens like that. Like in this case, I'm trying to use a tree map and it's not allowing me to copy, to use this directly for a tree map. So I decide to copy and paste it outside of it. But the problem with this is that if there's a change here, this would not change because this is a pasted value. But anyways, so this is what a tree map looks like. As you can see, it is going to create it in an hierarchy format, in an hierarchy form, for you to be able to look at them one after the other. And by the time we get more charts to work on, we'll be able to see how to make use of this properly, like how to make use of these tree maps, how to make use of it properly, like in its actual proper form. Pick other charts. So there is the histogram. Histogram is majorly used for age um age when you are trying to do for age and all of that. Let me see. So bar charts, pie charts. There's also the funnel charts. Sometimes we are not using that. Pareto chart, we are not making use of that right now. So basically, the core ones that works or that people use is the bar chart, bar charts, horizontal, like column and horizontal bar charts, and then pie charts. They are like the common charts people use. So let's change this now because we want to do time series. So let me change this to invoice dates. So for this invoice dates now, we have this data. This is 2020 data for Taiwan. You can see January, February. It has broken it down. Like you can see if you check in here, you see it has broken it down. If what you want is probably per quarter, you can just remove the remaining. So I don't want this year. I don't want this quarter. I only want per month. If I don't want per month, if I want per date, so it's just going to, I'm just going to remove it. So now I have per date each day. So from this each day now, I want to create a chart. So I want to create a line chart. So line charts. So this is what a line chart of the sales looks like. So with line charts, you can easily monitor, okay, for example, there is peak moments, there's increase in sales here and it dropped down, another increase in sales, drop down, and the sales were really just up and down, another peak 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 down. For example, now this chart can help the um retailer or the owner get to understand or get to question why exactly are we having spike sales at different points in time, for them to understand why they're having spike sales and sorry, they're having spike sales and how to deal with it. Maybe there's something that is happening that is making them have spike sales. So they can just probably just check around, okay, what exactly happened within this day. But what I'm just trying to explain is that for dates, the best way to represent dates or time charts is using the line charts. Did you understand up to this level, please?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So yeah,
Yes, please.
okay. Is there anyone with question? Anybody with question? So I'm going to send us this data, this Adidas data. I think I've sent it before. I'm not sure if I've not sent it before. I'm going to send it today. So for us to pick this data and work on what's it called now? Pivot table with it, we can decide to play around, maybe products, maybe units price or total sales or any of the things that we have here. Let's select it and play around with it. Do the sum average, the average summary, the sum summary, count summary if you need be. Then after that, let's play around with charts and see different charts and how they work. So I'm going to send this particular sheet. I'm going to send it to us. And then I'm also going to send that book I talked about. I'm going to send it to us so that the book is not necessarily you read it right now, but over time in your visualization journey in your visualization journey or data journey, it's one of those core books you will need to be able to do stuff like this, like have charts, visualizations that are very, very good, cool, and meetups and meet up the standard that is expected of them to meet up. So yeah, so we are going to be ending today's class here. Does anyone have any question? No question.
No question from my end.
Anybody with question? Question?
No question for my
No
side.
question from me.
Oh,
Thank
okay. Okay, so if there's no question, I think we've come to the end of today's class. If you didn't get anything, yes, it's a tactic. I've not moved to another thing. So if you didn't get some of the things I explained in class, you can probably just rewatch the video to be able to get the actual thing. That you are, okay, so I'm going to send the book, Storytelling with Data. Yeah, that's the book. I'm going to share it on the group right now. Okay, I've shared it, Storytelling with Data. Then I'm also going to share the sheet on the group too. So if you don't get it, you can rewatch the video on YouTube. Adenika will upload it on YouTube for us to rewatch. And then tomorrow is going to be our quiz and practice class. Then we are just going to continue on Thursday. Yes, we are going to continue on Thursday. So thank you everyone for joining this evening's class. Have a wonderful night rest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you too.